Hello everyone, my name is Seth and today I'm going to give you my review of Twisters. I was really excited for Twisters. I enjoyed everything I saw from it going into its release, but I was busy, couldn't get around to seeing it the first couple weeks. It was in theaters, and then by that time, I heard quite a few people raving about how good it is in 4DX. And so then I had to see it in 4DX. I have never seen anything in 4DX before, and so I wanted this to be my first time, especially with people saying how good it is. So in this video, I'll be giving my review of Twisters and also kind of my review of my 4DX experience. But before we go any farther, go ahead and like this video, hit subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a video. We're on the road to 300 subscribers, so go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. Tell a friend. It's free, and it'll absolutely make my day. First things first, I'm going to give you more of a extensive review of the 4DX experience toward the end of the review, but right off the bat, I want to say that might be one of my favorite theater-going experiences I've ever had. It was just a really cool experience. Now, it wouldn't be good for every movie, but for Twisters, 4DX really worked, and so I'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. But I'll say I think Twisters surprised me. I was going into it thinking I would like it at least, but I think I walked out of it kind of loving it. And I'll say this, you can be mad at me if you want, but I think this is better than the original with Bill Paxton. Now, don't get me wrong, I do really, really like the original, but I think this takes what the original does well and it just kind of improves upon it. To me, I think this is more than just like a natural disaster movie. I think they actually have a relatively compelling story and some fun characters. And they make you care about these characters. You like these characters. You want them to succeed. The story and the characters aren't necessarily groundbreaking. You've seen some character setups like this before. You've seen some kind of story beats like this before, so it's not completely new. For example, our main character, Kate, she retires from storm chasing and then a development happens and she has to get back into it, although she's a little bit apprehensive. So you've seen that character setup before. That's not new. And there are a few characters throughout this film where you could just clearly see where their character arc was going to go from a mile away. But even with all of that being said, I think it's all executed very well. It's familiar, but it's done so well that it just kind of makes it feel fresh. And I won't spoil anything, but I love what they did with Tyler, Glen Powell's character. I feel like what they did with him just kind of added a lot of extra to the story. The characters overall are a lot of fun. They bring a lot of fun and energy, and they do a good job of getting us emotionally connected to these characters. I love how this still has the big, kind of larger-than-life summer blockbuster feel. It still has the spectacle, but it has just a little bit more heart to it. I think the pacing in this film is so good. Never once did I feel bored waiting for the next action sequence. Never once did I think the action sequences went on for too long. It had slower moments right when it needed it, and it picked up with the action right when the film needed it. I think another thing that makes this film special is the performances. Daisy Edgar-Jones is honestly really good in this. This is the first time I'd seen her in anything, and she impressed me. I really enjoyed her performance. I think one of the things that really makes a performance successful is how well they can connect with the audience, and she does a fantastic job of connecting with the audience. It doesn't take long to get behind her character, and her performance is part of the reason why. I think the only complaint about her performance I would have is her accent. Maybe it's because I am from the South and I can pick out a Southern accent, but her accent in this film was incredibly inconsistent. Her character did not sound like she was originally from Oklahoma. And there were a few times here and there where I could kind of hear her British accent slipping in a little bit. But if the accent thing is the biggest issue I have with the performance, that's not the biggest deal. She's really charming in this, and she does a great job from the emotional, smaller moments to like the bigger, more action moments. She does a good job with both of those sides of the character. And speaking of charming, as always, Glen Powell is incredibly charming in this. He's just so charismatic. He has quickly became one of my favorite performers, and he absolutely is a certified movie star at this point. Honestly, I don't know who else could have pulled off this character any better than Glenn Powell. His character is just so funny, confident, and charismatic. But like with Daisy Edgar Jones, when the film calls for him to really kind of buckle down and get serious, he does a great job with that too. He's just so fun to watch perform in this film. Another thing that makes this film work as well and makes these performances work really well is that Daisy Edgar Jones and Glenn Powell have really, really good chemistry. I love their kind of back and forth all throughout this film, and I'd love to see them together in another film. Anthony Ramos was good in this. I think a lesser actor could have made this character a little bit more forgettable, but Anthony Ramos is incredibly talented, and I think he brings a lot to this character. I really enjoyed his performance here. All of Glenn Powell's character's crew was a lot of fun. All of the cast there did a great job. They had great chemistry that really made it seem like that they had been working together for years. They really felt like a team, and as a collective, they added a lot of laughs to this film. And David Cornsweet is in this, and I think he did a good job. He didn't have a ton to do, but like Anthony Ramos, I think he kind of elevated this character. And I already kind of mentioned the spectacle of this whole film, but it really is an experience that you definitely want to see on the biggest screen possible. I would say if you were waiting to watch this at home, I would definitely recommend you to see if you can find it still playing in a theater somewhere, because that just enhances the experience. All of the tornadoes, all of the destruction, just visually were very impressive. The CGI looked great all throughout this film, and that's exactly what you need. I think there's only maybe one shot in the whole film where I just thought, oh yeah, that's definitely on a green screen or a blue screen. But it was just one quick shot, so it's really not that big of a deal, considering how good everything else looked. 99.9% of the visual effects in this film were very good, and it really helps you buy into the danger that all of these characters are in. The cinematography here was just great. I loved even just like the smaller camera movements. It just helped give the film more energy, and it just kind of helped bring the audience into the world as well. It was just shot very well, and there's a lot of really pretty shots here. So I want to talk about my 4D experience real quick. For those of you who don't know, 4DX is where your seats move, and then there's like blasts of air or like mist or fog or things like that. So like, for example, during the tornado sequences, there were like giant fans blowing on us, and there was like some mist. Sometimes when something would go whizzing by the character's head, you like felt a blast of air on the back of your neck. You've been to Disney World or somewhere like that. There's a few rides that are kind of like that, but this is just for the whole movie. It's very impressive how they were able to kind of program everything. It was so much fun. It was not distracting at all. It just enhanced the movie-going experience. I can see how for some movies it can end up being distracting. I can see for how some movies it could end up being distracting, but this one, it absolutely just paired perfectly. The seats and the effects weren't going like 24/7 all throughout every second of this film, but even with some of the camera movements, your seat would just kind of follow the camera a little bit, kind of sway you back and forth, and it was just really fun. And during the action sequences with the seats going crazy, you have the air and the water, the mist, everything was just really, really cool. We had to drive about an hour to get to this 4DX theater, and honestly, it was 100% worth it, and I can't wait until another movie comes along where it's worth seeing in 4DX, because I will absolutely be making that trip. So if you've already seen Twisters just in the standard format, or if you haven't seen Twisters at all, I would highly, highly recommend checking out to see if there is a 4DX theater somewhere near you and going to see it, because it's an absolutely incredible experience, and I had so much fun. So I will highly, highly recommend you seeing this in 4DX. Like I said, driving an hour, no problem for me. I will happily drive an hour to see Twisters in 4DX. Overall, I think I loved this film. I honestly liked it a lot more than I was expecting to. It's a fun movie with great performances and some good characters. It's a visual spectacle and pretty much a perfect summer blockbuster. Really, the only complaint I have is that the story or the characters aren't exactly new or groundbreaking, but it's still done so well that it still feels fresh and is definitely very enjoyable. I will definitely recommend Twisters as a film just to pretty much any film fan. So if you haven't seen it yet, please do so. And if 40X sounds like your kind of thing, absolutely see Twisters and 40X if you can. I'm going to give Twisters a 4.5 out of 5. But that's it. That's my review of Twisters and of 40X. Have you seen this film? Let me know what you thought in the comment section down below. I'd love to have a conversation with you about it. Also, if you have not seen a movie in 40X before and you have any questions, leave those in the comment section down below too. I'd love to have a conversation with you about 40X. That was just so much fun. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to like this video, hit subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a video. You can follow me on social media pretty much anywhere at CinemaSeth, and I'll see you next time.